Hello everyone, welcome back to the Looney Bin. My name is Looney and welcome to the shipping yard where it is LuNami week. For everyone who is a LuffyxNami fan, this is the week to celebrate and spread your favorite, your love, and just everything LuffyxNami related. And for myself, I'm gonna actually do a video that I've been thinking about doing for a very long time now. I just never had the opportunity or time to actually do like a really long rant, or I guess a really long like love letter to why I love LuffyxNami as a ship, and I think it's about time I do that. And I apologize, if my voice sounds like I'm whispering or anything like that. I'm not. I just have to be a little quiet. But I do want to share my love and joy for my, if I would say my favorite ship in all of anime and manga and all of fiction. I really enjoy LuffyxNami so goddamn much. You have no idea how many years I've been shipping them, how many times I've seen so many fan art, I met so many LuffyxNami fans out there, still know a lot of them to this day, who have continued to not only share their joys, share their love for LuffyxNami, but also us, being together like a really strong community to look at the manga, look at the anime, dissect, analyze all the LuffyxNami moments that we consider moments. I know there's a lot of people who do not consider, certain stuff that happen between LuffyxNami as moments, but we consider it as moments because we are shippers. We are shippers of LuffyxNami. So I know there's a lot of people who do not like them, who prefer a different ship featuring either of those two characters. All I'm going to say is this is a video of me celebrating my love for LuffyxNami. So if you have your own personal opinion that isn't really, LuffyxNami related and like goes against them in any way, I won't change your mind. I don't know if this video will actually do anything for you. So if you're just going to leave a comment, all it does really is just provide more engagement to the video. So if you want to help me with that, go for it, but it's not going to do anything. I'm just not going to reply to you at all, because at the end of the day, guess what, this is a video of me celebrating why I love this ship so much. Now if you have a proper discussion, I could totally have that. If you are more civil in the comments and at least give like more proper reasoning other side from the usual reason that antis use, such as brother sister, sibling argument, no romance in the crew. We hear you countless times with the same arguments, but unfortunately for you, shipping is something that we love to do. Shipping is fun, and at the end of the day, we've seen that argument so much we don't care anymore about it. If you want to believe that's exactly what Oda is thinking, exactly what Oda believes, you're more than welcome to, right? We believe that Oda, the comments that he has made over the years, doesn't necessarily mean no romance between the crew, but you're more than welcome to believe that if you so wish. But not in this video, not in the comments below, because this is a video to celebrate LuffyxNami. I wanted to make that clear, because if you want to comment, I'm not going to reply to you. I personally do not care if that's what you believe, right? You have every right to believe that they're just friends. That's perfectly fine. You have every right to believe that everything that, all the LuffyxNami moments are just them being friends, helping each other out. That's perfectly fine. You see, I can accept that. But the arguments that, so many people have used, like those, I'm just not going to care. But I want to celebrate LuffyxNami, and that's what I'm going to do. So let us begin. Why do I love LuffyxNami? Well, I guess the best way to start is to tell you a little bit of my journey of really finding One Piece, starting to read One Piece and why I enjoy One Piece. I made a video on it, but I'll give you like a short brief idea of what happened. So I was initially more of a Naruto fan. I preferred Naruto. I didn't read One Piece at the time, but I did prefer Naruto. I shipped a Naruto. I was a Naruto Sakura shipper. It didn't happen, but to me, Naruto shipping kind of died down for me as it got closer to the end, because at that point, the whole story, Naruto and all this stuff, it kind of disappointed me to the point where I didn't care what ship became canon. And I don't hate Naruto, and I didn't hate Naruto Hinata. However, when at some point, I believe it was around 2004, 2005, I started being interested in other anime and other manga, right? I got into Bleach, right? Then I was like, One Piece. I never tried One Piece. I never never really delved into One Piece before. I was kind of on the bandwagon about like hating on One Piece because as a Naruto fan at that time, if you like Naruto, you must have hated One Piece, right? That was like a really young version of me who didn't give anything a chance and just hated on it just to be on the bandwagon. However, as I got older and around that time, I decided, you know what? I'm going to see what One Piece is all about. Maybe I might be interested. So initially, I did look up to see if there's any sort of romance, if there's any sort of shipping, going on into One Piece. I didn't get much of a hit. Google gave me a search thing about like, does Luffy or Nami end up together and stuff like that. I looked into that. Really, there was nothing that told me otherwise. So I was like, okay, so maybe there's no shipping here. Shipping is one of the things I love doing. It's a lot of fun. I love shipping in fiction. I love shipping, especially in anime and manga. I think a lot of the ways that, romance is depicted in anime and manga is really great for me. It's not necessarily the greatest written romance in the world, but I enjoy those romances a lot, right? So I was like, okay, so there doesn't seem to be anything there, but I'm still willing to give One Piece a shot. So I did. And my God, I mean, like, holy crap. I couldn't believe what I was reading in the East Blue arc. I could not believe just how much I love these characters so much. Luffy and Nami, oh my, I just immediately fell in love with them. Just how they were written, how their story was, intertwining together throughout the entire East Blue arc along with the other Straw Hats was just one of the best written, like, entire sagas I've ever read before. Like, at the time, even until now, I do not personally see Naruto or Bleach having anything, sort of written that same way, specifically in the very beginning of their stories, the same way I view One Piece. Now, you could call me a hater, you could call me whatever. I enjoyed early Naruto, I enjoyed early One Piece, but I did not enjoy early Naruto or early Bleach as much as I did early One Piece. And one of the biggest factors was the relationship between Luffy and Nami in terms of like how they first met and how slowly as the East Blue arc went on, just the amount of impact, the amount of just, oh my goodness gracious, the way Luffy's personality, the way Luffy's character outright just completely just blew Nami's mind of how she always viewed pirates. And that is what really got me into really a beginning point to starting to ship them. Why? Because here you have them both meet up, and immediately Nami already states that she doesn't like pirates because they took someone, she loved away from her, right? And when she heard that Luffy was a pirate, she immediately did not want anything involved. She only partnered him up because their interests coincided with each other. And slowly but surely during the entire East Blue arc, you see moments like in Syrup Village with Kudo and all that stuff about like how Luffy believes that your crewmates are your friends and you shouldn't hurt your crewmates, to the incident in Orange Town, the place where they first meet, about Shushu, and Nami seeing that Luffy's kind heart is not like any other pirate that she has ever met. You see those moments where that wall, that essentially that wall that she put up for herself to hide her true self, because she feared that if she was not the person she had to be in order to steal treasure and stuff like that, to not get close to anybody, she put that up to protect people so that nobody could die because of her own, because of her essentially. And slowly you see Nami breaking that wall just bit by bit so that Luffy can see the real Nami that's in there. He doesn't see her fully because at that point, until a certain part in Arlong Park arc, you see like Luffy seeing tidbits of like who Nami really is, someone who is kind, right? Who has this rough exterior, right? But is hiding like the kindness that's inside, her, and who she really is. Just this frightened girl who doesn't want anyone to die because of her sake. And Luffy slowly sees that a little bit, piece by piece, until we get to Arlong Park, where she where she puts on this this facade of her trying to get them to leave Kokoyashi because she doesn't want them to get involved, right? She does not want them involved because she doesn't want to see them hurt. She, you know, warmed up to them, warmed up to Luffy, warmed up to the other Straw Hats, and as she's leaving, Barate with the merry-go, right? She's crying, like saying that hopefully one day she could finally be able to smile and laugh like that again, and a lot of that comes from the way Luffy was, the way Luffy was portrayed as the opposite of a pirate that Nami always thought they were, with Arlong and stuff like that. So as slowly as she got to that point where she didn't want them involved because she didn't want to see them hurt, because she essentially cared for them despite, not showcasing it on the outside, right? She immediately told them to leave, that she was, evil, that she was actually part of Arlong's crew, that she was using them, saying all this stuff, right? And Luffy is listening. You could see Luffy intently listening and hearing all this, and he doesn't say anything, right? Because he's trying to figure out if this is the real Nami or not, right? He's listening. He's trying to see. And then that moment when she says sayonara, which I think if you look back a little bit, I don't know if it's just my memory or my bias, but I could be wrong. But you hear the sayonara be a slightly different tone, or like a slightly hesitation to it. And that it immediately was picked up by Luffy, right? Immediately Luffy picked that up. And the moment he did, he didn't want to leave. Why? Because he knew what Nami was saying was nothing but BS. That she was just saying all this to protect them. Maybe he didn't realize that she was doing it to protect them, but she was clearly, playing a facade. Just pretending to be something that she was not at all. And the reason why he kind of had that feeling is because he's seen her laugh, her smile, her being her, or her being the person that she always wanted to be, but she couldn't because of her situation. And, even after he wakes up, Nojiko was like all prepared to tell them about the past. He did not give a damn. He didn't want to care about her past because he not because he didn't want to learn, or he didn't want to know why Nami became like this. He didn't care. He didn't care about what made Nami this way, why Nami is acting like this. What he cared about is the Nami now. The fact that he heard her slight hesitation in her voice, the way that he saw her as they were adventuring in the East Blue, he knew that no matter what her past was, the Nami that he believed, he knew, right, was not the same Nami, was not essentially the Nami that became the one that she was more aggressive towards them. That wasn't the real Nami. He didn't care about why Nami was acting like this. What he wanted was nothing more than to see the real Nami, and he knew the real Nami existed because he'd seen moments where she showcases that, where she became a little bit vulnerable to him, to essentially be the actual Nami, this kind person who wanted nothing more than to protect people and not want anyone to die for her sake, the same way her mother did. So he didn't do anything. He didn't want to hear the past, and just continued to wait until that moment when Nami finally told them that she needed help. The Straw Hat scene is by far one of my favorite scenes in the story. Not just because I'm a shipper, but just in general, because it represented the entire Arlong Park arc. To me, represents essentially what One Piece is. That there are people out there who are stuck in this prison, in this time where they are trying to be free, to be able to smile, to be able to eat anything they want, to be able to just be themselves, and something is preventing them from doing or being that. And that's essentially what happened here. Nami was trying very hard to save her village, and overcame so many hardships for 10 years, stealing from pirates just to get 100 million berries. And the moment that was taken away from the same person that killed her mom, she just couldn't handle it anymore. She wanted to prevent her village from going in and attacking Arlong. And she just collapsed and just couldn't believe what was happening, because the village understood. They knew what she was doing, and they charged anyway because they didn't want Nami to suffer anymore. That they wanted Nami to leave so she wouldn't have to suffer for them. and that just completely broke her. When Luffy showed up after she kept on stabbing, and he stopped her from the stabbing, right? Nami saw that and she hated it. She hated it because she knew that Luffy was not leaving, and she wanted nothing more for him to leave so that he didn't have to get involved and possibly get hurt. But she realized soon enough that no matter what she would say, that Luffy was not leaving. Everything, all her options have now just been completely evaporated. The only option she had left was to ask for help. To ask help from somebody who gave her a chance, who gave her an opportunity to be herself. She didn't want him to get hurt. She didn't want to get any of the Straw Hats hurt. But at that point, she just had no other option and pleaded and asked for his help. And Luffy was like, finally, put the straw hat on her head to literally comfort her, to calm her down, to give her hope. Because that's what that scene is. The context of that scene is very important. It is not the same when someone else gives Nami, a shirt, or, Luffy gives, or, hands the hat to somebody else to just hold on. The context around the entire scene it makes a huge difference in how relationships, or just relationships between two characters, and how it means more in that form. It's similar to how when Shanks put the straw hat onto Luffy's head. Luffy was crying and like telling him that he was gonna become a great pirate, but he still felt like it was his fault for what happened with Shanks' arm, and he wanted to tell Shanks that it's okay, I'll get stronger so that one day he'll be a greater pirate than him. He still felt guilty about what happened with Shanks' arm. The moment that Shanks put the hat onto Luffy, he started crying because it allowed him to release the emotions that he kept pent up a bit there, and to finally be able to realize that it wasn't his fault, and at the end of the day, Shanks doesn't blame him for what happened. It's through that Luffy decided to do the same thing, but with Nami. That is very important when you talk about anything shipping wise, because it represents something that a character does that is imprinted on him when he's young, to understand how to calm people down and to give them hope. The same way Shanks gave Luffy hope, the way he gave him the opportunity to calm down and understand that it wasn't his fault, he gave that to Nami. That is very important because Luffy is a very complicated character, but he's not complicated in the way he does things. He's very emotionally intelligent. He does a lot of things based on emotions. This is one of those reasons. That Straw Hat scene and the walk to Along Park was by far one of the greatest moments I have ever read at that time for any sort of manga that I ever read. I was just blown away by it. Just the writing, just the culmination of everything from the moment they met all the way to the end. It was just so beautifully written. Everything just connected so wonderfully. And then after the destruction of Along Park, Luffy rises from the rubble of what used to be Along Park and says that, Nami, you are my friend. That just the epitome of like what I love about One Piece, and just essentially the representation of what One Piece is and eventually will become. It's such a great, like, to me, the East Blue arc and Along Park arc is just a great representation of, or like a preview of like exactly the the messages, the emotion, the values that Oda believes in and puts into his story. It represents that fully. It's literally, I believe, the moment, or like that portion of it where the Straw Hat scene and the Along Park defeat, the walk, all of that is, I think, the culmination of something that showcases Oda's brilliant writing. And it's such a euphoric moment for anyone who ships LuffyxNami. It is why so many LuffyxNami fans love that scene so much. Because we dissect it, we analyze it so much, because it represents not only what the story of One Piece is, but the bond that is formed between Luffy and Nami. That's why we love it. That's why we extremely love it. It is considered literally a scene where a lot of people became One Piece fans. I think it's possibly one of the biggest scene throughout all of One Piece that has ever gotten people to actually become One Piece fans. That's just how good it is. and it's such a good Luffy Nami moment. You could point it to it just being a friend helping out a friend. That's fine if that's what you want to believe. But for Luffy Nami shippers, this is a very, very romantically written scene. Even if, for if we say that Oda didn't mean it to be romantic, it is. If you put this type of scene, if you put this type of moment in any other manga between any other characters, or maybe even if we put this moment and Luffy Nami in another manga that doesn't have like Oda being a little conservative about romance at all, or like not being confident, everyone will immediately see it as romantic. One Piece just has this this thing with its fans about like no romance between the crew and stuff like that, that they don't want like romance at all because they believe it ruins the dynamic. But the writing is like just it represents like romanticism so well. And like again, if it wasn't One Piece, if it was just another story, another manga, it would be seen as like one of the most romantic moments in any story. That's just how powerful it is, right? I understand fully if people don't see that. They don't see that and see it only as friends helping friends, because that's just how Oda likes to write his characters, where he focuses more on the friendship until post time skip, where he introduces more romance into the story. But that entire Arlong Park arc, the entire East Blue, represents everything that I love about Luffy Nami. Just also think about it this way. There's a trope about like how like a character who hates a certain group of people and then falls in love with that same person who is within that group, because they make them change their way or their view of those group of people because of this one individual. That's essentially what is happening here with Luffy Nami. Nami hated pirates because of what one pirate did to her, but Luffy showcases that not all pirates are the same way. That it's not labeling everybody as evil. It's about showcasing different forms of that group with an individual who doesn't want to be that way, who wants to change the concept of that group. Piracy is always seen as it's always villainous in the way we always see it, but the core of being a pirate is all about adventurous, or at least in Luffy's case, it's all about going on adventures and doing things, not necessarily being kind, but like just doing things because he wants to see people be able to express freedom, and he doesn't like it when people are taken advantage of by somebody else, right? And that the moment Nami sees that, it just connects it so well in like their dynamic, right? It's the way like the way the gap closes as the story continues. The way the gap closes between them is just so beautifully written, and that's why I love it. It showcases to me like my form of shipping, why I love shipping, why I love certain ships, why I love certain romances, and I just love their bond and trust and how well it grows. There's a terrific fan art there that showcases it, how like Nami just slowly closes the gap between their relationship to the point that we get a hug in Zou, and Nami eventually gets closer to her crewmates as well. She starts hugging everybody else, but that Zou hug is so unique because it's not like any of the other hugs Nami has ever given to anybody. You see it as like something that is meant to be seen as as front and center. It's not like a side hug. It's not like a hug that that she gives Usopp and Shibodi, or even like a hug that she gives Sanji, where it's also a group hug, right? It's a type of hug that you would see in any other romance story and immediately be like, oh my god, that is a shipping moment for the ages. It's that kind of hug, right? And Oda does this thing, he does this a lot, where he tries to insert a gag or try to put something out of context, or try to add something that to avoid making like a big time shipping moment. He does that a lot, but the ideas for it, I feel like his lack of confidence, he shouldn't be, because Luffy Nami's relationship is just so well written. He parallels it with a lot of other relationships in the story. Kuma and Ginny, Oden Toki, Kinemon and Sudo, maybe even Roger and Rouge. We still don't know what their relationship was, but maybe even them, right? It's these actual romantic pairings that are canon in the story that represent a lot of the similarities that, you know, Luffy Nami have. Leo Manchete share the same thing, right? It's just that's why I am a Luffy Nami shipper, because their trust, their bond, everything about it is just so good. We see it, how much Nami, you know, trusts in Luffy with, you know, Skypiea trying to get him up there to defeat Enel, you know, or when Kaido talks about, you know, killing Luffy, she's right there ready to call him out on his BS, right? And I know a lot of people would say, well, anyone will do that. She's just the only Straw Hat that was nearby. Possibly, but Oda did it with Nami. And I don't know if there was a reason for it or not, but it just seems like it's connected. It just seems like whenever Luffy is in some way, you know, well, I can't really say that, so I'll probably retract that. But like, their bond is just so unique compared to others, especially when you think about Luffy and other female characters, and Nami and other male characters. Their bond is just unique in so many ways. And one other thing about their relationship is that they really, you know, cover each other's weaknesses. They're, you know, opposites attracts. You know, Nami is very smart. She's very, you know, intelligent. Luffy can be intelligent, emotionally intelligent, or battle intelligent, but, you know, he makes some stupid decisions. He doesn't necessarily always seem to be able to read, or, you know, that kind of stuff, which may be a Toei thing, right? But they like, it really is showcasing like Nami's smarts and intelligence, you know, connects well with Luffy and the way he acts sometimes, right, in terms of you know, being smart and stuff like that, or being dumb. And, you know, it fits because she can cover that weakness. Luffy is strong. Nami can be strong in all way, especially now with the Zeus power. But Luffy's strength, Luffy's, you know, ability to defeat opponents can help cover her weakness of, you know, of that. And it's like, there's just so many things that just connect them together that just, I wish I could explain it better in words. You know, I really want to, but it's just very difficult to, for me personally, because I know words, you know, I know certain words that could explain it better. It just, my brain sometimes forgets them, so I apologize for that. But like, opposites attract. The way they, you know, cover each other's weaknesses. Oh, like another example would be, you know, Luffy can't, you know, swim, so he'll drown, but Nami can, so she could save him, right? Those are the type of things that I really enjoy about their relationship, because of just how much they cover each other. You know, they back up each other in so many different ways. You know, their dreams are connected in a lot of ways too. Like, holy cow, Nami's gonna lead Luffy to the One Piece. That's pretty obvious, right? Once Robin deciphers all the poneglyphs, she's gonna get all the locations, all the key points that Nami needs to eventually locate where Laptel is, right? And then she will have to navigate, you know, the Straw Hats towards Laptel. That's how she's gonna eventually help him get there. Nami's navigation is on another level. She has some sort of ability, well, not ability, but some sort of unique talent that no other navigator appears to have, right? She's able to detect cyclones when no one else can, like we see with Vivi, when transporting Vivi to Alabasta, where she's able to, you know, tell people where a cyclone is coming, even though she's goddamn sick, right? And that's just how Nami's going to be able to help Luffy get to his dream. And all the Straw Hats will be able to do so as well, you know, using their talents. But the dreams are so connected. In terms of Luffy, how can Luffy help Nami's dream? Well, after Luffy becomes Pirate King, he's going to continue wanting to go on adventures. He's not going to settle down anywhere. You know, Luffy's the type of guy who will continue going on adventures. He will continue to explore, you know, see the world, right? See what the world has to offer. And who best to lead him on this adventure than Nami? And what is Nami's dream? To draw a map of the world, right? The only way she's going to be able to do that if she travels with people who are able to not only protect her but get her to those places, right? Luffy can definitely be part of that as well. And Luffy will no doubt be very willing to help Nami accomplish her dream. That's how their dreams are interconnected to each other. Sure, you could claim that the other Straw Hats will also be there to help Nami's dream, right? But what if some of them decide that, oh, you know what, like, I want to do something else, I'm going to leave the ship because it's time. You know, there's always that possibility, right? And I think that would be a perfect moment for Oda to, you know, establish some sort of like romance between them if he so chooses to, right? Their dreams are connected. They, you know, their dreams are connected. Their bond and trust continue to grow. They're parallel between them and other ships, right? They are able to cover each other's weaknesses. The trope, the slow burn, the trope of Nami hating pirates and then eventually, you know, following a pirate. That's another good trope that people use for shipping, for romance. There's just so much amazing stuff, and we haven't even gotten to a lot of the other stuff that Oda has done over the years. Strong World, a movie written by Oda. Whether or not it's canon, you know, it's up to you. I believe Oda even mentioned something about it. I think Oda said that if you wished for it to be canon, he's not going to stop you. But the events essentially are not canon or whatever. For me, you know, I'm just going to go with the idea that it's not necessarily canon because it's a movie. Movies are a little weird in that regard for any sort of anime manga. But, like, the ideas Oda has had written in there, even the pre-concept where he was actually thinking about Nami's past, the ideas and concepts he had for that movie really showcases that he does not dislike the relationship, you know, for Luffy Nami, and doesn't necessarily dislike the idea of them. Another piece of, you know, a spin-off that he actually read and enjoyed was One Piece in Love, which was a spin-off, a actual approved spin-off that was all about these two characters in a high school setting where they were both named Luffy Nami and they fall in love. Like, it's a depiction of like a romantic relationship between two characters that are just named after these after the actual characters from One Piece. And Oda said he reads it. He approves it. The idea that people think that Oda doesn't like romance in terms of the Straw Hats, it gets, like, to me that doesn't work anymore because of like One Piece in Love. Like, he's fine with it, right? Even in the Usopp gallery, when he talks about like any sort of shipping fan art, he doesn't mind Luffy Nami fan art, like, at all. He always is just like praises it, and like, that is a big thing when he doesn't necessarily dislike the idea. He enjoys it. You could also use, you know, the fact that, you know, his wife was a Nami cosplayed as Nami because she was an idol, and it was like some sort of, I believe, Jump Festa event or something like that, right? And they got married, right? He got married. He even went on a TV interview and talked about how Nami is his heroine, and that mangaka usually draw you know, the type of girls that they like as their heroine. So it's like there's things that Oda says and does that, like, to me is just like, I don't see it as a thing where he doesn't dislike it. And just based off his writing, just all of it, his writing is so unique in that you can definitely view it as friends helping friends. But I think his writing allows you to also see it as romantic, and if he so chooses to do anything with the Luffy Nami ship at all, he has the writing to back it up. He has the moments in the story to back it up, because they can be seen as romantic as well. They can be seen as such. And that's what I love about their relationship. It's like, that's why I ship them so much, because of like their, like, the way he writes them and their closeness, and how like Nami is constantly now worried about him. Most of that has to do with Marineford, you know, and the fact that she wasn't able to help him. But like, her constant worry is such a really great thing to see, because it showcases like just Nami really caring a lot about Luffy's well-being. She's interested in his family. She constantly always refers to Dragon as like Luffy's dad or something like that. You see it in the story where like I don't think she even mentions him in name. She always talks about, you know, or is interested or is seen in the panel, in a panel or like in the dialogue where she focuses on Luffy's family or like Luffy's, you know, past or anything like that, right? The constant worry, you know, and like the way they're written is very much similar to how like other ships will be seen romantically, right? Whether or not Oda chooses to, I don't know. He mentioned once in an interview with the author of Detective Conan that he doesn't have the confidence in writing romance at all because of his lack of confidence, and also he doesn't feel like you know he'll be able to do a good job, and that you know the characters might lose fans if they you know started liking each other. That shows you that he's thinking about this stuff. Even pre-concept, like the prototypes for Luffy and Nami. Like some of the original prototypes for them, you had the prototype of Luffy fall in love with Nami. He does think about this stuff. He isn't someone who just doesn't he isn't someone that doesn't dislike it. He's someone that is thinking about it and writing moments for them where like, okay, if I want to do it, I'll use this moment as a way to showcase that, you know, it's not out of the blue. It's not, you know, like an ass pull or something, right? And just their bond is so good. Like I just love Luffy Nami so much because their trust, their bond, I personally believe is just so much different compared to the other characters, you know, between them. And that's perfectly fine, right? Because Luffy and Nami have different types of bonds with different characters. That doesn't mean it's any more important. I just prefer their bond way more than Luffy's bond with any other female character or Nami's bond with any other male character, right? It's just so good. I love the writing. I love the passion that Oda puts into just his writing in general, especially his character relationships and the way he writes characters' relationships between Straw Hats or between other characters. It's just so good, and I love the way he has written Luffy Nami's relationship. It just represents a lot of like my shipping ideology and why I love certain ships. If you ever want to know anything about my sort of shipping ideology, Luffy Nami is by far the one that really is how I feel about how like romances should be done, right? Now all romances can be written differently by different people, but like this type of ideology is where I love friends who go on adventures, friends who do things together, hang out constantly, and then over time they slowly develop and could develop into something more. You could call them family, sibling, whatever argument you want, but that does not take away from the fact that they are friends, right? That argument is always about, and it's used in other shipping fandoms as well, about calling them siblings so that for them, for the person themselves, they know that it could never happen. It's like a coping mechanism. And it's done in any other fandom. It's not just One Piece that does it. And it doesn't at all is any way showcased in the story at all. Or any of the characters see each other as siblings or anything like that. So it's just the way it's written, the slow burn, all of that, the relationship. I just love their relationship so much. All Along Park really did it for me. And just as time went on, as the story went on, I personally could see like them connecting so much more in a more romantic light than any other like two characters that I enjoy. Honestly, I only ship Luffy Nami. To me, they're the one of the greatest ships that I have ever rooted for, right? And will I be upset if it never becomes canon? Of course I will be upset. Really, the only threat for me for Luffy Nami isn't other ships. It's whether or not Oda actually decides to do anything. The threat to them, I think, is open ending, and it's just the way I view Oda's way of thinking and the way he has written things that I'm just connecting all these dots, and just overall their bond, their trust, the way Luffy has changed Nami, the way Nami has in many ways changed Luffy, and Luffy listens to Nami whenever it's something, you know, important or serious. He listens to others, but sometimes it's mostly whenever it comes to like Nami and Dressrosa and stuff like that. Zoa as well, and just like their bond is just so good. The dreams are connected. They're, you know, opposites that help each other out in their own weaknesses, and they're the way that the gap is closing between them, and just everything about it. I just love it so much. I don't really express this much love for a ship as much as I do Luffy Nami. It's why, for the most part, the one ship you always see on my channel is Luffy Nami, because I just love them so much. It's so good, right? And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I will move on, because that's just, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I do like One Piece as a story first most before shipping, because I also consider shipping a lot of just mostly about fun and having fun, right? But at the same time, it's like I really, really love Luffy Nami as a ship. Just everything that I explained in this video, just all my emotions just poured out from this, because of just how well their bond and trust and their character writing together has been written. It has been one of my favorite, you know, relationships between any two characters in any piece of fiction. I just love it so much. And honestly, I understand if anyone doesn't like them. I just don't like the certain arguments that people do have for them and discredit their relationship and their bond. That's where I get mostly, you know, a lot of the more annoyed about. But just the amount of just everything between them, it just connects with me on so many levels, because at the same time, it's how I always kind of viewed, in a way, romance is. Granted, it's an anime manga, so a lot of the romance can sometimes be unrealistic, but I'm someone who always believes in the trust, the bond, and why these two characters, or why a person who I might, you know, eventually fall in love with, how that works well. And it's I just love that. I just really do. I could continue on, but I think 40 something minutes is long enough for everybody. But I could still continue on, give you more examples, like actually go arc by arc and tell you why I love this part, that part. But I'm not gonna, you know, tell you that, because it would just be a much longer video. But 40 plus minutes is good enough, you know, in general. But thank you so much for watching. Whether or not this has done, you know, made you change your mind, I do not know. I hope it does in some way, you know, to at least let people, you know, see it as, oh, you know, it's a possibility. I don't necessarily agree or like the shit, but you know what? This man's passion, this man's, you know, reasoning and all that stuff, it really spoke to me. So I want that to, I see why he likes it so much, and you know what? Maybe he has a point. I still may not like it in general because of my own beliefs, but you know what? I can understand where he's coming from, why he's so passionate about it. That to me is perfectly fine, a perfectly fine response. And at the end of the day, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to tell you why I love Luffy Nami as a ship, and why I make content surrounding that, because I just love it so goddamn much. And I think there's a lot of people out there, especially a lot of Luffy Nami shippers, that are kind of hiding because of this stigmatism of hatred for Luffy Nami shippers and just Luffy Nami as a ship, because of so many different reasons. And I just want people to know that shipping is for fun. Don't be serious about it. Don't be too serious about it. You know, you could be very serious about a ship, but don't be so serious to the point you try very hard to push it and force it on somebody, or try to deny it and try to call people dumb, or try to like say some really nasty stuff that I have seen directed towards Luffy Nami shippers. And just, there's no need for that. It's not supposed to be taken as serious as you try to make it, right? Be passionate about your ship. Love it. But let's all just remember it's a fictional story. It's 2 characters. And I freaking love them. I really do. So, you know, comment below. Let me know how you feel about LuffyxNami as a ship. Tell me passionately why you love that ship. Why you love LuffyxNami as a ship. I would love to hear people's comments, people's thoughts on that as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more LuffyxNami content or One Piece content or just any other content like Final Fantasy 7 and Hololive stuff and shipping stuff as well. And I will see you guys next time. Happy LuNami week of 2024. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time.